Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and with pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. Reading chapter 18, the Sannyas Yoga, or conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. So we've read till verse 28, and we have to read from 29. But let's see if anybody was able to read anything on their own, any of Prabhupada's purports, translations, or both, and they had any questions so far, what you read from this chapter. This is the longest chapter. This is the conclusion. So this is very important. So please clarify any doubts, and I'll try my very best to answer. So, there are some devotees that were gone. We welcome them back. And I'll just summarize just in a few lines what we have read so far. So this is Sannyas Yoga. So Arjun starts with opening what is Sannyas versus Tyag, renunciation and detachment. So Krishna tells the difference between these two. He says that basically we should be practicing Tyag. Don't worry so much about renunciation. He says renunciation is same as Tyag. Basically, you should be working with detachment. You should not be attached to the outcome or attached to the result so much. Then Krishna went on to describe renunciation in three modes: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Sattvic, Rajasic, or Tamasic tyag kya hota hai. Then he spoke about action ke kya constituents hain, like what motivates our action and what constitutes our work. So he said there is a knowledge, there is knower, there is object of knowledge, there is a worker, there is the action, and then our senses, and everything can be in three modes. So he goes on to tell us that knowledge can be in three modes. He says that the doer or the knower, karta, can also be in three modes. And then the action that we do, the action that the doer undertakes, can also be in three modes. So this is what we have read so far. We have read till the worker in three modes. So knowledge in three modes, the action in three modes, and the worker in three modes. This is what we read so far. So before we go forward, let's do our prayers, and then we'll start from verse 29. I'll share on the screen so everybody can recite. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya
Chakshunmilitam yena
Tasmai Shri
Gurave Namaha.
Shri Chaitanya Manobhyashtam Yena
Bhutale Padamaya Padantikam
Vandeham Shri Guru
Vishnu
Vaishnavamscha Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganatam Satam Siddham Sadhvetam Sadhutam Krishna Padan Sagara Lalita Shri Vishakhatam He Krishna Bandhu Jagat
Gopesha
Gopika Kanta Radha
Kanta Namastute
Bhakta Kanchana
Nārangi Radhe Vrindavane
Vishvanubhute Devi
Pranamami Hari Priye
Vancha
Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Bhaktivinoda
Namo Vishnu Padaya
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Mukam Karoti Vacha Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Gurve Gaur Chandraya Radhikaya Sadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Siddhaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Bol. Thank you once again for joining. So, so this is all we discussed so far: knowledge, knower, and action in three modes. And some of the things that came during our discussions were some of these facts that one should understand, that we are not the enjoyer of the result, right? We are not the proprietor of the result. So that's how we can stay detached when we are performing an action, knowing that that action, whatever the result I get, that result is not for my enjoyment. I'm doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. And with that mood, you do your action, right? So that when you do that action, you will be detached and you will give your 100%. You will be able to give that endeavor your full focus, attention, determination, concentration, all your qualities, your skills, your talents in doing that action, because you're actually doing it for a higher purpose. You're doing it for a very high goal, which is the pleasure of Krishna. You're not doing it for your own sense of achievement or pleasing some people around you, or for some money, or for some name, or some promotion, or those things are very short lasting, right? Let's say if you did it to please somebody, just next to you, right, your friend, that person may be pleased by that action, but then in a few minutes you do something else and they will be completely offended by you. So that pleasure is not permanent, right? That whatever name you get, that may not be permanent, because soon something else might happen that will destroy your name or fame or money, right? So if you do it for those things are short lasting, they are very temporary, and they do not give very deep sense of pleasure, deep sense of achievement. So actually, when you are connected to Krishna and you do it for his pleasure, for his satisfaction, then you get a deeper sense of satisfaction and pleasure yourself as well. So then the work also becomes service. So that's why when devotees work, we don't say कि ये काम कर रहे हैं temple में, right? हम बोलते हैं सेवा कर रहे हैं मंदिर में. तो इसलिए मंदिर में या जब भी भगवान का कुछ होता है, वो काम नहीं होता, वो सेवा होती है. Because it is done with a sense of sacrifice, with a sense of detachment, that I'm not the enjoyer, right? I'm not the proprietor of the outcome, of the result. And secondly, so this is one point we discussed in our discussion so far of this chapter. Second point we discussed was that also remember, you are not the controller of the action or the result, right? You're not the controller of the result. So if somebody thinks that, oh, if I give this task my 100% and I will get 100% marks, it's not guaranteed. You may give an action your 100%, you may give something your very best, but still the result may not be very perfect. You may still be a failure. It may not be as perfect as you wanted that result to be, right? Because the result is not in your hands, right? So according to your previous karma, your destiny, or according to the will of Krishna, you are only supposed to get this much. So nobody in their life gets anything more than what they deserved, right? So whatever food you're eating today, whatever money you're making today, right? You were just destined to make that much. According to your previous karmas, according to your destiny, according to your fructified prarabdha, this is all you were supposed to get. But we still have to give our 100% to the action. So somebody can say, if the result is already decided, or if I'm not the controller of the result, right? Then what motivation do I have to give my 100% to the action? जैसे कि कोई बच्चा है, student है, he's studying for an exam, he wants an A+, right? But already it is decided that in this particular exam he's going to get B. So that child, why would he have the motivation to give his best for this action? Who can tell me the answer to this? हम क्यों अपना बेस्ट दें? चलो, एक तो ये हो गया devotee है. Devotee is doing it for the pleasure of Krishna, so we are always giving our best. But aside from that fact, if the result is already decided, what do we gain something by giving our best at this point of time? Yes, Vedai.
That you could be like, well, at least I put in all my effort and I did whatever I knew. So
But how does that help? Because the result is decided. So why give your best? 100% काम क्यों करूं जब 90% ही या 70% ही रिजल्ट मिलना है? कम, but yes, Mataji, Anita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So yes, I think ये result decided है, which is like कि हमारे कर्मों का फल है, right? कि वो but वो change किया जा सकता है by our पुरुषार्थ, which is like कि the hard work. जब हम hard work करते हैं तो ये जो फल है वो भी change हो सकता है. Hard work with the right direction, right intention, and involving Krishna and keeping Krishna in the center. So the result can be changed.
लेकिन मेरे प्रारब्ध के हिसाब से मुझे इसका रिजल्ट मिल चुका है, यही रिजल्ट होना है, मुझे ये पता चल गया है somehow, let's say I know यही रिजल्ट है, फिर मैं क्यों इसमें 100% एक्शन करूं? लेट्स हियर फ्रॉम, तो आपने ठीक बोला, यू आर पार्शियली करेक्ट. नाउ थिंक ऑफ इट एज दिस, कोई भी चीज लाइक रिजल्ट है, वी आर नॉट कंप्लीट कंट्रोलर, राइट? We are not complete controller. There are many other factors in it, right? That's why it's not guaranteed that we'll get our desired result. No? So by what you are saying, Mataji, sounds like we are complete controller and we can change it if we want. Let's hear from Rekha Mataji.
I feel it's also based on free will. Even though it's decided what we are going to get, but let's say if I say I'm not going to do that, it can we can lose those things. Let's say my job is as an accountant and I say I don't want to do it because it's decided I'm going to get so much money, but if I don't go to work, obviously I'm going to lose what I was supposed to get. So I think it's based on free will also.
Okay, yes, Mataji, your idea is correct. I just want you to frame it a little bit better so that everybody can understand. पर आपका point सही है. Let's hear from Ravi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dhanvat Pranam, Tesla Prabhupada. Mataji, the destiny will decide that today's outcome, but whatever I will do today, it will decide, it will make my tomorrow.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji,
Tomorrow
perfect.
is important. Tomorrow is important because I want to be free from this cycle. So whatever action I do today, if it is done for Krishna pleasure, then I won't be bounded by it, and then it will help me to get out of the cycle. So to create tomorrow, I have to do action today.
Very bold. Yes. So I think Rekha Mataji was also saying the same thing. कि अगर काम, ये पता है कि इतने ही पैसे मिलने हैं, राइट? सो काम क्यों करूं? लेकिन अगर नहीं काम करोगे तो काम से निकाल देंगे, राइट? So and Prabhuji is also saying the same thing. Basically, whatever action we are doing today will decide my destiny in future. So whatever result I'm getting today was decided by my past actions. Now, past actions are not in my control. I did something in my previous birth or earlier in this birth, which decided my result that I'm getting now, right? So despite whatever action I do now, this result is fixed. But whatever action I do now will decide my results for future. So if in future you want to keep getting good results, then you have to keep doing your action perfectly. You have to keep giving your best to that action. I'm not mixing bhakti with it because working for Krishna is a transcendental platform, serving for Krishna. So I'm not mixing that, but just for understanding from people in mode of goodness, the understanding is that if you do your best right now, whatever action you do right now will decide your destiny for future. So you're making future prarabdha based on your current karma. Past ke karma are not in your hands. They have, some of them have already fructified. Those that have not fructified, those, Mataji, Anita Mataji, you're saying, now those that have not fructified, those that are still in the seed form, जो अभी भी बीज रूप में है कर्मा, वो हम अपनी भक्ति से, अपने नाम जपा से, अपनी उससे कैंसिल कर सकते हैं. लेकिन those that have fructified, we have to tolerate those results. So we have to tolerate those reactions. So past karma we can, that have fructified, we have to tolerate those reactions, but our current karmas will decide our future destiny. So if you want to make, इसलिए हमारा future हमारे हाथ में है बोलते हैं. ऐसा किस तरीके से हमारे हाथ में है? जरूरी नहीं कि immediate future हमारे हाथ में हो, because that may already be decided by our previous actions, but आगे आने वाला future हमारे हाथ में है because we can change it with our current karmas. So with our bhakti, with our current karmas, with our good intentions, good actions, 100% endeavor, strong determination, and working in a detached way, we can change our future results that we get. So this is the understanding. But also when we say don't be attached to the outcome, sometimes people say, अच्छा अगर outcome के बारे में नहीं सोचेंगे, goal के बारे में नहीं सोचेंगे, then how would I work properly? How would I use my resources? So it doesn't mean that you don't plan your action. You have to plan your action. You have to be goal oriented. But when you are doing the action, that's when you are planning, giving your 100%, working with determination, using your intelligence, skills, qualities, talents, everything. But once the action is done, then you can leave it up to the Lord to give you the result, however he pleases. Again, so once the action is done, don't keep stressing about it, that, oh, what will happen, whether I'll get the results or not that I want. Then don't keep asking for, don't keep worrying, stressing, being anxious about the result. But while you're doing the action, you should be goal oriented. This is the ideal goal that I want. How should I work towards this goal? How should I employ all my resources so that I get a favorable outcome? So you should, when you're working, you should be outcome oriented or goal oriented. But once the work is done, you should let it go. You should take shelter of the Lord, that if you please, give me the whatever the desired result, whatever the result that I deserve. So those are some of the things that we have discussed so far. And the third thing that we discussed was, so result is not in our hand, but even the action is not in our hand. So we think that we are the complete controller of the action, but actually we are not even the complete controller of the action, because there are many doers. We are not the only doer. So we should understand, get out of this doership mentality that I did something, because nothing can be done alone by you. It has to have sanction of the Lord. It has to be facilitated by the material nature, our previous karmas, and everything will come into play, whether that action we will be able to complete or not. So even that, so result are definitely not in our hand, but even action is not completely in our hand. So while performing that action also, we should always depend on the Lord. We should not act independently of the Lord and his devotees. We should depend on the Lord. So, so Krishna said that people that think they are the enjoyer of the result, proprietor of the result, attached to the outcome, people that have the doership mentality and think they are the doer of the action, that they are the complete controller of both the action and the result, those are, that is called false ego or mithya ahankar. That is like sense of lordship. Give me 1 second. Is your class starting, the other one yet? Or no?
It will start soon, in like 5 minutes.
45.
But okay. Can someone share the link? Do we have the link for this class?
I think Sampata Mataji's link.
Okay. Can you send it to Navya, Prabhu?
Yes, I'll send it.
Okay. So let's read next verse. Let's start our Bhagavad Gita. So we are reading verse 29. So just to reiterate, 26 to 28, Krishna talked about the worker in 3 modes. The worker in mode of goodness is very detached. He is very determined, works with enthusiasm, without wavering in success or failure. That is mode of goodness. Rajasic worker or actor or doer will be very attached to the work, will be very attached to the fruits of the work. He would want to enjoy those fruits. He's very greedy, envious, impure. He will change with joy and sorrow. He will be moved by joy and sorrow. So that is Rajasic or mode of passion. And the worker in mode of ignorance will be working against the scriptural injunctions. He will be obstinate, like very haughty and duplicitous, or like cheating. And he will be condescending or insulting others. He will be lazy. So he's sort of hypocritical and duplicitous, lazy person who procrastinates. He's morose. He's not very joyful when he's working. Like that, he's in mode of ignorance, so tamasic worker. So this is where we stopped. Let's go to 29. Last time we also discussed a very nice concept. I want to see one of the kids, maybe Avni, whether he, I don't see Vinita today, but anybody can talk about that concept of duality. How do we come into the duality, and how does that cause our attachment, rag or dvesh? If anybody heard the class last time, can they quickly summarize it in 2-3 lines? The concept of duality. Who remembers? Devi? Okay. So we talked about how, actually we wrote it down. So we talked about how when we accept this body, right? We, let me share the screen. When we accept this body, we are born into the dualities of this world. Does that strike a bell? Right? That we are born into the dualities of this world. When we get a body, we are born into the dualities of this world. Dualities matlab success ya failure, matlab dunya ke dvandva, happiness or distress, honor or dishonor, wealth or poverty. These are the dualities of this world. So as soon as we are born, we get contaminated by the dualities. We start associating with the dualities. So we start thinking success is good, failure is bad. Happiness is good, distress is bad. Honor is good, dishonor is bad. Wealth is good, poverty is bad. Like that, we start making this association with the desirables and undesirables of this world, right? कि क्या अच्छा है, क्या बुरा है. So called good and bad, so called bhala ya manda. Last time we did all this. How come nobody remembers this? Does it ring a bell? Who remembers this at all? Because I will not move forward unless somebody remembers this. If not, then we have to.
I had to leave before we got to this part, and I didn't get to the recording.
Okay, I see. Who remembers? Nagar Prabhu or Anita Mataji, Rekha Mataji?
I remember now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'd request you to take notes, and because we are not making much progress if we can't remember these basic concepts of Bhagavad Gita. This is a very basic concept. Somebody can say, why are you're talking about detachment? Detachment means even if failure comes, I take it in the right spirit, same spirit as success. Even if I am poor or wealthy, I should treat the people same, and I should take it in the right spirit, even if I lose money. Even if I get dishonor, I should not be very much bewildered or distracted or disturbed by dishonor. Even if I get distress or some bodily discomfort, you're saying that Bhagavad Gita is saying that we should not get very much disturbed by these things. So this is the concept we have to understand. Bhagavad Gita is giving us a very nice concept. This world tells you that this is good and this is bad, right? But Bhagavad Gita tells us that these are all the same. These are so-called good or bad, so-called desirables or undesirables made, concocted by the material world. These are mental concoctions. Bhagavad Gita says this is manodharma. These desirables, ashubh or shubh, जिसको हम शुभ अशुभ बोलते हैं इस दुनिया के, तो क्या होता है? People get very much attached to the desirables. They start working very hard for money, for success, for honor, for wealth, for fame, for happiness. And that is called rag. So Krishna says many times to avoid rag. Rag matlab attachment to the so-called good things of this world, so-called shubh or desirables of this world, or auspicious. Because in this world, actually, there is nothing auspicious. Even if you get something desirable, let's say you get a lot of wealth, even that will cause your fall down and cause your contamination in this world. It will cause you to lose focus in this world. So nothing actually is very auspicious in this world, and everything is very temporary. So don't develop so much attachment in working towards these things. Don't make these things the outcome. Don't make this your goal. Okay? And then on the other hand, the undesirable things that the world tells us that dishonor is undesirable, dishonor is ashubh, dishonor is bad. So don't develop so much hate or repulsion or dvesh towards this undesirable, so-called bad things of this world, that you start having fear, you start having anxiety. कि अगर मैंने ऐसा, अगर ये काम ठीक से नहीं हुआ तो मुझे dishonor मिलेगा. And so much anxiety and fearfulness this will bring, right? Rather, he says, be detached from the rag and dvesh. Be detached from the desirables and undesirables of this world. Because otherwise, people are just struggling very hard to get the desirables and to avoid the undesirables. They're working very hard. And Prahlad Maharaj also says in seventh canto that we should not struggle so hard. These things will come of their own accord. They'll come according to our destiny, right? They'll come. अगर fame मिलनी है तो वो झक मार के मिलेगी ही मिलेगी. You just need to keep working in detached way, right? अगर wealth आनी ही है तो अगर वो आपके उसमें लिखी है तो वो आएगी ही आएगी. और अगर वो जानी है तो कितना भी आप उसके लिए स्ट्रगल कर लो, बहुत हार्ड एंडेवर भी कर लो, तब भी वो वेल्थ चली जाएगी. So your duty is to just keep working in a detached way for the pleasure of Krishna and without any too much attachment to these so-called good and bad things of this world. So detachment from these dualities is called Mukta Sangha. So Krishna wants us to be Mukta Sangha. So don't be so contaminated by the dualities of this world. That is why this world is a world of dualities. इसमें ये द्वंद्व चलते ही रहेंगे, राइट? मात्रा स्पर्शस्तु कौन्तेया शीतोष्णा सुख दुखदा agamo nityas tam stitikshasva bharata, that they will keep coming like seasons, and just like you tolerate the seasons, you just tolerate. So actually self-realized people not only tolerate their failures and their distress, but actually they tolerate even their successes. When they get success, they tolerate that. When they get fame, you have to tolerate that also actually in this world. So remember that they are very flickering in this world. They're very temporary. And so don't be too attached to them. Tam stitikshasva bharata. So learn to tolerate them. So that is one concept also that we did last time. Okay, I'll finally get started. I thought those were important concepts to review before we move further. Let's read Bhagavad Gita 18.29. So now, let's see, Krishna is going to change the topic just a little. Buddhir-bhedam dhriteshchaiva.
बुद्धिर्भेदं धृतश्चैव
Gunatas-trividham shrinu.
गुणतस्त्रिविधं शृणु
Prochyamanam asheshena.
प्रोच्यमानम् अशेषेण
Pritatvena dhananjaya.
पृथक्त्वेन धनञ्जय.
Can somebody read the translation?
I can read, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, iske baad next three we'll read together because Krishna is saying, O Dhananjaya, winner of the wealth, I will tell you in detail three types of understanding. So, Buddhir Bhedam, I'll tell you what is the different type of buddhi or understanding people have. And I'll tell you different type of dhriti or determination people have. Dhriti means determination, buddhi means understanding or intelligence. So, according to the three modes, Krishna will highlight these two things in three modes. Okay? So let's read the next three together. 18.30. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha. Pravrittim cha
Nirvrittim
nivrittim
cha
Karya karya bhaya bhaye.
karya karye
bhaya
bhaya bhaye
Bandham moksham cha ya veti.
Bandham
moksham
moksham
cha
veti.
veti
Buddhi sa partha satviki.
Buddhi
sa
sa
partha
partha
satviki.
Let's read a couple more. 18.31. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha.
Yaya
dharmam
dharmam cha
Karyam cha karyameva cha.
karyam cha
karyameva
karyameva
cha
cha
Ayathavat prajanati.
ayathavat
ayathavat prajanati
Buddhi sa partha rajasi.
buddhi sa
sa
partha
partha
rajasi
rajasi.
One more. Tamas buddhi. 18.32. Adharmam dharmam mitiya.
Adharmam
Dharmam
dharmitya.
Manyate tam savrita.
Manyate tam savrita.
savrita.
Sarvarthan viparitamscha. Sarvarthan
Sarvadhan
viparitamscha.
viparvitamscha.
Buddhi sa partha tamasi.
Buddhi sa
Buddhi
partha
sa
tamasi.
tamasi.
Can three devotees read these verses 30 to 32?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
O son of Partha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. You want me to continue? Haribol.
Let's see. I think Sheetal Mataji wants to read. Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One more devotee wants to read. 32.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Text 32. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives away in the wrong direction. O son of Partha, is in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Very bold. So this address here that Krishna uses, son of Pritha. So Pritha is the name of Kunti, Queen Kunti, Kunti Maharani. And since he's son of Pritha, he's called Partha. So sometimes Krishna says, oh, son of Pritha, which means, oh, son of Kunti, and sometimes he says Partha. Sometimes he says Kaunteya. Kaunteya also means son of Kunti. So different names of Kunti Maharani are being used. And she's such an elevated soul. She's a pure devotee of the Lord. Some of you have read or memorized Queen Kunti's prayers. Very, very beautiful prayers. So you can see that she, although she is an aunt of Krishna, she's Bua of Krishna. Like, and she understands that this is not an ordinary living entity that has come here. This is Bhagwan. So Krishna is Bhagwan himself. Krishna is tu Bhagwan Swayam. And so she glorifies him accordingly in her prayers. So just wanted to clarify that address. So Krishna is saying that I'll tell you intelligence in three modes and determination in three modes. So right now he's talking about buddhi or intelligence in three modes. So he says that intelligence which can differentiate between pravritti and nivritti. So pravritti and nivritti, these are two terms. Some of you may be familiar with these. Pravritti means what ought to be done, what one should be doing. And nivritti means what one should not be doing, what ought not to be done. That is nivritti. So that intelligence which can differentiate between what should be done and what should not be done. Karya, akarya. What is, again, what is karniya? What is good to be done or not good to be done? Sort of similar. Bhaya, abhay. What should be feared and what should not be feared. Bandham, moksham. What is binding and what is liberating? So which action will bind you, which action will liberate you, which will free you, which will be the source of your mukti, and which will be the source of your entanglement or binding. So that intelligence which can differentiate between all this, what is karniya, what is akarniya, what is bhaya and abhaya, and what is bandham and moksham, that intelligence is sattvic intelligence or mode of goodness. So basically this is called discrimination, right? This is what we teach our kids, right? Ye karna chahiye, jhoot nahi bolna chahiye, teaching them right values and proper morals and ethics. So that is called discrimination. Vivek buddhi bolte hain isko. Hindi mein it is called vivek buddhi. So this is a very developed high consciousness. This is a very good culture. This is a very elevated intelligence. So this can differentiate between good versus bad. कि क्या काम अच्छा है, क्या काम बुरा है. जैसे किसी को हार्म पहुंचाना गलत है, शास्त्रों के अगेंस्ट काम करना गलत है, किसी को मारना, चोरी करना, ये सब चीजें हम सिखाते हैं बच्चों को, राइट? These are all wrong. So these things are karniya. Bandham moksham becomes a little, now comes to a little more subtle, next level of elevation, where the person also understands that actually things like sense gratification will cause my entanglement, will cause bondage. So in order to free myself from this material world, in order to get moksha or mukti, to get liberation, I should be working in a detached way. So जो पहले कृष्ण ने बताए थे action और doer के बारे में, वो सारे concepts, he will use those concepts that I should be working in a detached way and should not be worried about the outcome, and those can be the source of liberation. Whereas if I work for myself, for fruitive gains, for sense gratification, those things can cause bondage. So this kind of person with sattvic intelligence, vivek buddhi, will not be corrupt, right? He will not be stealing money, committing fraud and things like that, because he's not working for his own gratification only, or his family's gratification only. He's working on a level of self-sacrifice, and his goal is higher. He knows that he should get liberation from this material world, that this world, everything is temporary, and so he's not very attached to the goods and bads, the success and failures of this world. ठीक है, थोड़ा कम पैसे मिल जाएंगे, लेकिन हम अच्छा काम करेंगे, भला करेंगे लोगों का, कुछ बुरा करके अच्छे ज्यादा पैसे नहीं चाहिए, right? That's their mentality. So people in mode of goodness, sattvic people, they won't cheat, they won't do any kind of duplicitous behavior, or lie to get more money or more fame or more name, or things like that. So these people have good, strong values, and they know that they want liberation. So I'm sure you know many sattvic people in your life. I know that I do. And they work with this kind of consciousness. So this intelligence is called discrimination. This is vivek buddhi. Okay. We'll take more details in a few minutes. The next level is, I'll just give some highlights, then we'll open for discussion and see if people want to share something. Next level is rajasic buddhi, intelligence in mode of passion. So intelligence in mode of passion is when the person does not know what is dharma and what is adharma. या dharma adharmam cha, कि क्या धर्म है और क्या अधर्म है. He cannot distinguish between religion or irreligion. So the clarity has gone down. So if you see, the consciousness is getting a little bit more fuzzy, blurry. His consciousness is getting more polluted. So he does not know what is dharma adharma. तो वो थोड़ा बहुत अधर्म में भी indulge होगा, ऐसा व्यक्ति, राजसिक व्यक्ति. ठीक है. कार्यम च अकार्यम एव च, उसको ये भी नहीं पता what is between good and bad action. He does not know much difference. Typically people in mode of passion, their focus is on fulfilling their ambitions, their goals. ये इनके इन प्रकार हैं, हमको अपना, हमें पैसे चाहिए, नाम चाहिए, अपने हम बहुत मजे में रहें, बहुत सब कुछ अच्छा हो according to the desirable standards of this material world. They want to live their life. So they do not distinguish so much between dharma and adharma. अगर थोड़ा अधर्मा भी करके पैसे मिलते हैं, या promotion मिलती है, या नाम मिलता है, fame मिलती है, लोग followers बनते हैं, जो भी, then they will take that path of adharma also to fulfill their for their sense gratification, or for their personal gratification, for their fruitive results. They can take to adharma also. कार्यम च अकार्यम च, उनको ये नहीं, गुड एंड बैड एक्शन में भी ज्यादा डिफरेंशिएट नहीं करते. दे आर बेसिकली वेरी अटैच्ड टू द भोगा ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड. जैसे जो मोड ऑफ गुडनेस में था, ही वाज इन अ मूड ऑफ सैक्रिफाइस, ही वाज इन मूड ऑफ डिटैचमेंट, ही वाज वर्किंग मोर ऑन द प्लेटफॉर्म ऑफ योगा, कि आई वांट टू stay detached from this world. But this person is acting more from the platform of bhoga. He wants to enjoy this world. So that distinction capacity between good and bad, dharma and adharma, has gone down in rajasic mode, in mode of passion. So the clarity is much less. They're not as aware as the mode of goodness people were. They're more contaminated. Okay, अब जो तामसिक व्यक्ति है, mode of ignorance, that is even worse, right? That person is completely, actually, not only he's confused between dharma dharma, he will think adharma is dharma. So he's opposite, उसकी उल्टी बुद्धि है. राजसिक व्यक्ति was at least confused कि क्या फर्क पड़ता है, चलो ये कर सकते हैं, चलता है करके, he's very attached to bhoga. But tamasic व्यक्ति is actually thinking irreligion to be religion, right? That, for example, so many people say, oh, मूर्ति पूजा नहीं कर सकते, ये काफिर हैं, ये हाँ, लेकिन हम मार सकते हैं जानवरों को, and that is fine. So in this way, irreligion is also being considered religion. कि किसी को मार सकते हैं और वो भी भगवद गीता का नाम लेके या अपनी स्क्रिप्चर्स का नाम लेके, and that is okay. So they are ulti buddhi, they're very crude buddhi actually, very tamasic buddhi. So अधर्म को धर्म मानते हैं, and so they are going in completely wrong direction, they are going in completely opposite direction, and they are under the spell of darkness, illusion. They are very distorted vision of this world, very distorted vision of dharma, and so they will strive away in the wrong direction. So they are actually heading towards very sinful life, very sinful reactions are waiting for them in the future, very low or hellish planets and lower species is their future basically. So this is in the mode of ignorance. This is tamasic buddhi. Now most people are actually in the mode of passion, in the, you know, from what I have seen, people like these, जो, you know, terrorist होते हैं या बहुत ही ज़्यादा criminal minded people, these are in mode of ignorance. But most people that are just overly ambitious to enjoy this world, कर लो दुनिया मुट्ठी में या सब कुछ पूरी, you know, जी लो जिंदगी, they are more in mode of passion. So they are just overly ambitious people, just very hungry to enjoy. So their senses and mind is very hungry to enjoy. So that is the broad distinction between the intelligence of mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. इसको थोड़ा और करेंगे. अब remember, we are not talking about devotees अभी तक. Krishna typically in Bhagavad Gita talks mostly about mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, not so much about transcendental aspect or the bhakti that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam more. But in this chapter later on, Krishna will talk about bhakti also. And he's talked about bhakti mostly in the middle chapters, like chapter 9 and chapter 9 and 10 mostly. Lekin isme Krishna is talking more about mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So let's take some reflections. Any examples come to mind? You've seen people in different modes, I'm sure. People that were very corrupt-minded, very duplicitous, lying, cheating, versus people that are very cultured and very their intelligence is very nicely cultivated, so they work for, you know, humanity, for the good of other people, for sacrifice. Let's see if Rekha Mataji, Hema Mataji, and Hare Krishna, Hema Mataji, both of you are welcome.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
You want to share something, Mataji?
And
it's okay if you want to think about something, that's fine. Hema Gupta Mataji, Hemlata Mataji, would you like to share anything? I've not heard from you in a while. I know you've been attending classes, but I don't get to hear from you. Please share something.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
I think, you know, I think we are mostly in mode of passion because, at least for me, I think, because we're still striving to fulfill our basic, you know, basic concepts that we have been, you know, grown up to be told, like, you know, like have a house, have a career, raise children. So I think I'm still in a lot of mode of passion all the time. Trying to do a little bit bhakti is hopefully some mode of goodness. But I think it's like, I think 90% is still, for us is still, for me is still mode of passion. And I hope to, you know, see more of it in mode of goodness. So that's what I think. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. That's very humble of you to say that, Mataji. But you know, bhakti is transcendental, and when you add Krishna to your home, you're teaching Krishna consciousness to your kids. You're going to, you know, dhams and temples, and you're reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So none of that is in any of the modes. All that is transcendental. So once you've added Krishna to all these various aspects of your life, you've made everything spiritual, everything transcendental actually. And Krishna says that this knowledge of absolute truth, this is transcendental. He said, right, knowledge, knower, and object of knowledge. So this is your knowledge coming from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. You are the knower, the jiva, and your object of knowledge is Krishna. So you're all transcendental. So yeah, thoda bahut jo hamari intelligence contaminated hai from previous sanskaras and from our contamination, just coming into contact with this material world, we get contaminated, right? We come in contact with the dualities and we start thinking this is good, this is bad. So we keep working towards the goods only the desirables of this world. And but you're trying to purify your consciousness, your intelligence, as all of us. So you're very advanced, actually. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else wants to share? So there's a verse earlier in Bhagavad Gita that says, Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya partha chetasham vivasyatmika buddhi samudhavana vidyete. That those people, Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam, जो लोग भोग और ऐश्वर्य से आसक्त हैं, like with our long-standing engagement with the comforts of this senses, keeping our senses comfortable, and the opulences that or so-called opulences of this world. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya partha chetasham. So unke liye, for those people that are so addicted to their senses, that so always trying to make their senses comfortable, it is very hard to get one-pointed intelligence towards spiritual life. So vivasyatmika buddhi samudhavana vidyete. कि इस तरीके के व्यवस्यात्मिका बुद्धि, business-minded intelligence, that I just want Krishna, I just want love of Krishna, I just want to go back home, back to God, that I just want His satisfaction, His pleasure. That type of intelligence does not come easily. And this is because of our long conditioning, long-standing contamination and continuous entanglement with this world. जैसे कहते हैं ना chain smoking. Chain smoker क्या होता है? वो एक के बाद एक smoke करते रहते हैं cigarette. है ना, वो छोड़ नहीं पाता. तो हम लोगों की भी ऐसी चेन स्मोकिंग है. हम लोग एक के बाद एक बॉडी लेते जा रहे हैं. एक के बाद एक बॉडी, इतनी बॉडीज ली हैं जितनी चेन स्मोकर ने स्मोकिंग नहीं की होगी. And so how hard it is, longer they have smoked, harder it is for them to quit, right? For the chain smokers. Similarly, we have been conditioned so long with so many bodies and so many, always seeking comforts only, always seeking comforts for the senses. We don't want to get out of the comfort zone. So the Vivasyatmika buddhi is very hard to develop. And then on the other hand, Krishna also says in the same chapter, in second chapter, Vivasyatmika buddhi ekaha kuru nandana. Vivasyatmika buddhi ekaha kuru nandana. आगे क्या होता है?
Bahushaka
बहुशाखा अनंतश्च बुद्धयो अविवसात्मना. Thank you for completing, yes, Prabhu. So व्यवस्यात्मिका बुद्धि एकह कुरु नंदना, that one pointed intelligence. जैसे व्यवसायी जो होते हैं, जो व्यवसाय करते हैं, business minded होते हैं, they just want profits, they just want to make money. So इसी तरीके से spiritually oriented person is also has व्यवस्यात्मिका बुद्धि, he also wants only profit. और ये जो कर रहे हैं हम accepting bodies, this is a business of loss. There is no profit in this. This is only business of loss. So ऐसा बेकार का business, बेकार का सौदा self-realized spiritual people नहीं करते. Spiritual people only want profit. So this is called making best of the bad bargain, right? So this body is a bad bargain. So how can you make best of this bad bargain? Is to employ this in service of Krishna. So devotees are one-pointed intelligence, Vivasyatmika buddhi, and they employ this body and the resources, the house, the car, the money, the name, the whatever you have, children, community, in service of Krishna, and make best of this bad bargain that we have received. So even though the bargain is bad, we got this body and we're suffering as a result, but we can make the best out of it. Through the service of Krishna. So that intelligence is transcendental intelligence. That is even beyond the mode of goodness. Anybody else wants to share anything? If not, we can read next few more, talk about the determination. Is that okay? ये जो mode of ignorance है, intelligence, this is very hard to understand. I know it's talking about vipreet buddhi or opposite buddhi, ugra buddhi, where people are rejecting the dharma and accepting adharma as the right path, which is very hard for us to understand as devotees, because we are trying so hard to walk on the path of dharma. So there are people like that who completely reject Bhagavad Gita. They have very spoiled understanding, very spoiled consciousness. So they go to the wrong path and very confidently march on the wrong path. गलत रास्ते पे जा रहे हैं और बहुत confidently जा रहे हैं. So they are following in this pit of blind well. Prahlad Maharaj says कि अंधे कुएं में गिर रहे हैं. So this pit of blind well they are falling. This mistake many people are making. So for example, one Vipreet Buddhi is that you see an ordinary person and you start accepting him as, you start worshipping him. An ordinary person, you start worshipping him. You give them high respect. Whereas a spiritually elevated person, people deride sometimes, right? Whereas somebody ordinary like कोई क्रिकेट स्टार है या उनकी पूजा करने लगते हैं, लेकिन जब भगवान की पूजा होती है वही मंदिर में तो फिर उसको डिराइड किया जाता है. लेकिन you can start worshipping, oh, this is the god of cricket, this is the god of Bollywood, or this is the god of Hindi cinema, and this is the god of politics and whatnot. So those people are worshipped like God, whereas people that are actually spreading the message of God, they're sometimes derided, condemned, and so that is Vipreet Buddhi. So a very, very spoiled understanding. That's one example. Let's read 3 more verses that talk about determination. We'll read them continuously. 18.33. Dhrityaya dharate
धृत्यायया धार्यते
mana pranendriya kriya. Mana
मना प्राणेन्द्रिया क्रियाः
Yogena vyabhicharinya.
योगेनाव्याभिचारिण्या
Dhriti sa partha satviki. Dhriti
धृतिः
sa
सा
partha
पार्थ
सात्विकी.
Let's read 2 more. It's talking about sattvic determination on Dhriti. 18.34 in Rajasic. Yaya tu dharma kamarthan.
यया तु धर्मकामार्थान्
Dhritya dharate Arjuna. Dhritya
धृत्या
dharate
धारयते
Arjuna.
prasangena falakankshi.
प्रसङ्गेन फलाकाङ्क्षी
फलाकांक्षी.
Dhriti sa partha rajasi. Dhriti
धृतिः
sa
सा पार्थराजसी
राजसी.
One more, 18.35. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam. Yaya
Yaya
swapnam bhayam
bhavam
shokam.
shokam.
Vishadam madam eva cha.
विषादं
Padam madam eva cha.
Evacha.
Na vimunchati durmedha. Na
Na
विमुञ्चति
vimunchati
दुर्मेधा
vidya.
Dhriti sa partha tamasi.
धृतिः सा पार्थतामसी
Tamasi.
It's these 3 people, 3 devotees read 33, 34, 35. Hema Mataji, you want to read? Hemlata Mataji and Hema Parma.
Okay, yes. Text 33. O son of Parth, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. Text 34. But that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna.
35.
Okay, text 35. And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, is it morseness and illusion, such unintelligent determination, O son of Parth, is it Parth or Pritha?
Pritha.
Pritha. is in the mode of darkness.
Thank you, Mataji, for reading. So now we're talking about dhriti, or determination in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So Krishna says the determination which is unbreakable, matlab fixed, very steady or fixed determination, dharate, that sustains is dharate, and which controls the activity of mind, life and senses. So mana, prana, indriya. Man ki, mind ki, pran, matlab life air, and indriya of senses. So that determination which controls the activities of mind, intelligence, and life air, and which is steadfast, which is unshakable, which is achal, atut. That determination is called in mode of goodness. तो इसके ये basic features हैं. Let's एक बार थोड़ा दोनों को देखते हैं, then we'll take them together. Mode of passion हो गया. Again, same thing. The main purpose of Rajasic Vyakti is to enjoy the fruitive results. So this person will be enjoying his determination. He's also determined, but his determination is aimed at dharma, arth, kam. So religion, economic development, and sense gratification. So that is by the nature of passion. So he's engaged in other type of activities, dharma, arth, kam. He's not in yoga. जो पिछला था mode of goodness में, that person is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practices. So he's trying to connect to the Lord, and that is why his determination was unbreakable. His determination in his yoga practices and by the yoga practice is unbreakable. But this person, Rajasic Vyakti, his determination is aimed at the fruitive results of religion, dharma, arth, and kam. So वो धर्म में करता है अपना काम, अपना time लगाता है. Like for example, they may be doing some demigod worship, various type of yagyas and other pujas and all to get some good, some good results, like some prosperity or health or wealth or money or something that they want. And for that prosperity, they engage in dharma. That dharma is a means for artha for them, because with that type of dharmic activities, they get economic development or artha. Then that artha they use in their sense gratification. So really, that's a waste of dharma. That is why it's never called true dharma. It's not a true dharma or yoga practice where you're just engaging in various activities to please different type of demigods or Devi Devtas, or different type of rituals and practices that you use to achieve economic development, and then you use that artha or economic development to enjoy in sense gratification, and that entangles you in this material world. Isliye this is called cheating dharma. This is Ketav dharma. This is not the true religion, which does not free you but actually entangles you more in this world. तो इसलिए धर्म करते हैं अर्थ पाने के लिए, और अर्थ में डिटर्मिनेशन लगाते हैं अपनी सेंसेस को एंजॉय करने के लिए, और फिर सेंसेस को भी वो पूरी डिटर्मिनेशन से एंजॉय करते हैं. Like people, Rajasic people are very nicely enjoying in this material world with great determination. They'll make plans on how to enjoy various aspects of this material world, right? So that also takes determination. So that's Rajasic determination. So they are basically trapped in this material world. Then the tamasic determination or dhriti is this is basically no determination at all. This type of determination is no determination at all, because they are वो सोचते हैं कि ऐसा करूंगा कि okay कल से जल्दी उठूंगा, tomorrow I'll wake up at 4 o'clock, or tomorrow I'll start exercising, or tomorrow I'll cut down on eating eat a little less, or tomorrow I'll start studying. So their determination is like that. They're just dreaming. लेकिन वो कल कभी आता नहीं, right? So these people then they are engaged in fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, because कुछ काम किया ही नहीं, कुछ अपने लिए या किसी के लिए कुछ भी helpful नहीं किया. So in this way they are just in illusion, and that is a very unintelligent or tamasic dhriti. They don't go beyond dreaming. So Prabhupada is saying that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming. So there is tomorrow ही करते रहते हैं. So हम होंगे कामयाब, लेकिन कब होंगे इसका कोई प्लान नहीं है, इसका कोई रिसोर्स नहीं है, इसकी कोई नॉलेज नहीं है, कोई एंडेवर नहीं है. जस्ट हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन, वो एक दिन कभी आएगा नहीं, क्योंकि there is no determination. So that is very tamasic determination. There is no value of time. They're wasting time. They're lazy and procrastinating. So that is tamasic determination. So these are the 3 types of determination Krishna talks about. And Then, of course, Prabhupada in his purports always talks about it from bhakti aspect or from transcendental platform, because Prabhupada, right from the first chapter, is trying to take us to bhakti. He's right from the first chapter, he's trying to elevate us above the three modes. कि goodness, passion, ignorance के beyond भी एक realm है, spiritual realm. He's trying to situate us on the spiritual realm right from the very beginning. So in his purport, sometimes that's why people get confused, because Prabhupada talks about bhakti. Prabhupada talks about devotees, and devotees do not fit in any of these three platforms, right? So spiritual practices that people engage in is not aimed at dharma, arth, kam. Maybe if you're sattvic, then towards moksha, and then for devotees towards service of the Lord or bhakti. And so again, the rule of vivasyatmika buddhi is applied. No matter what situation it is, you stay one-pointed intelligence, one-pointed determination, with nischay, with utsahan nischayat dhairyat tat karma pravartanat sang tyagat sato vritte shadbir bhakti prasidhyati. So Rup Goswami says in Updeshamrita, or Nectar of Instruction, verse 3, that we should engage in service of the Lord or bhakti with utsah, nischayat and dhairyat, with enthusiasm, determination and patience. So that is the transcendental determination. That is what I wanted to share. Mode of passion or ignorance, you heard that it is just entrapping you in this world. You're just in darkness. You're just going through the obstacles of this life. You're just tripping. जो आप सोचो अगर आप darkness में हो, imagine a situation, you are in darkness in a room which is full of a lot of things, a lot of clutter in that room, and a lot of clutter in this world also, and it is in darkness. You are moving about without any knowledge, right? So what will happen? You will keep falling because there is no light. You will keep tripping on the obstacles of this world. So people of lower consciousness, tamasic or rajasic, they are just working their way through the obstacles of this life blindly, not knowing where they are going, what's happening. They have no proper destination. So they're very fearful because they're in darkness, right? They're very fearful. And they're trying very hard to get around those obstacles, लेकिन जो भक्ति में है व्यक्ति, he is not in the darkness of that cluttered room. He's above that. He's in the light. He can see what's going on. So that's why Krishna says sapashyati, that he can see what is going on actually. So he knows how to maneuver around these obstacles. He knows that these are very temporary obstacles. He's very fixed in his intelligence. He's enlightened. His intelligence is divine realm. So he's enlightened soul. So their faith is fixed. They are very consistent in their practices, uninterrupted practices. There is no vacation. They don't get any vacation from spiritual practices. So हम काम से छुट्टी ले सकते हैं, लेकिन ये जो भक्ति है या spiritual practices हैं, ये everyday का काम है. And this is not a काम, like we said. This is seva, and there is no छुट्टी. There is no vacation. So it is uninterrupted. It is इसमें बहुत fixed determination से we should keep going. एक बार किसी डिवोटी ने ऐसा बोला था क्लास में कि हम लोग जो हैं, हम लोग नॉर्मल नहीं हैं. तो किसी ने पूछा, व्हाट डू यू मीन हम लोग नॉर्मल नहीं हैं? हम लोग एबनॉर्मल हैं? मैंने कहा हाँ, आप लोग एबनॉर्मल हो, बिकॉज इस दुनिया का नॉर्मल क्या है? नॉर्मल है टू एंजॉय दिस वर्ल्ड, टू स्टे इन दिस वर्ल्ड एंड टू एंजॉय दिस वर्ल्ड. इसका भोग करो अच्छे से. दैट इज द नॉर्मल. लेकिन आप लोग क्योंकि इससे हट के कुछ कर रहे हो, you're standing out of the crowd. You're not merging with the crowd. You're not blending with the crowd. So it will be very hard for you. So you are different. And so you are not the normal people. It will be very hard for you. So you have to stay very fixed in your determination, very fixed in your intelligence. So जो intelligence और determination, 2 points हमने पढ़े, you have to be very fixed in those, because the current of the material world is going in one direction and we are flowing against the current. We're trying to swim against the current. And swimming against the current is hard because the whole world is trying to distract you and tempt you to go flow with them. And it is easy to flow in that direction because the current is going that way. It is easy to flow with the river, to flow with the current, but to swim against the current, swim up against the current is very hard. And so that takes a lot of intelligence, patience, steady practices, consistent daily practices, and a lot of prayers, a lot of mercy is needed for that. So So you know, if you want to stand out of the world, then you have to try extra hard. And sometimes determination does go down. Devotee की भी determination ऊपर नीचे होती है, लेकिन जब भी होती है, then there is only one thing to do, and that is sadhu sangha, associate with devotees. If your practices are becoming weak, then the worst thing you can do is to cut yourself from the devotees. If you cut yourself from the devotees, that's it. Even reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam cannot save you. Even chanting will not save you, because sadhu sangha is the only thing that feeds our chanting and reading also. So then you should seek shelter of the devotees around you too. They can keep you, they can hold you, so help you swim against the current. If you thought कि okay मैं weak हो गया हूँ लेकिन मैं अपने आप ही हाथ मारते रहूँगा, नहीं, you will flow down with the river. So always never give up sadhu sangha and take shelter of the devotees when we think we're getting weak. That's all I have to share. I'll stop here. Anyone else wants to share any points about this? Realizations? Abhishek Prabhu, Anita Mataji, Sheetal Mataji, Nagar Prabhu, please share. Ravi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. To all devotees. So yes, I really like this last point about flowing with the current versus against the current, and just like entropy or this material world, everything is, if you don't do an effort, it will deteriorate, like Nārangi Devi has mentioned before in classes also. So effort is needed, keep things good or to make them better. Even in the same state, we can't stay unless we make an effort, because otherwise things will just deteriorate. So definitely, so I completely agree with this Sibili, that we are kind of trying to swim against the current, and it is very easy that if we stop swimming, or then we will just get pushed down the current. So we have to keep trying, and the sangha of devotees is definitely what will keep us going. And think about it, like if there's a huge group, very crowded group going in one direction, then we can use the same thing in transcendental way, that if we are in a group that is moving in one way, it is easy to just go with the flow, even though we are going against the flow. Versus if we are alone and trying to go against the flow, it is easy to lose our spirit, lose confidence, or any moment of weakness. It will be easy for us to just rest, and then we will get swayed by the current, and we go downstream, the wrong direction. So this is very, very important. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing. So, in material world, it is very easy to be material and hard to be spiritual. So even though we are spiritual entities, but in material world, it is easy to be material. And now also remember these other people that we talked about, mode of ignorance and passion. They're all, like we said, falling into a blind well, right? But Prabhupada has instructed us and has shown by example to give the rope to these people, right? To give rope. Somebody gave us the rope. So we should also give the rope of knowledge. So they are fumbling about in a dark room in the obstacles. We should show the light, right? So by this knowledge, spread the message of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and this long conditioning that people have, very deep conditioning, very deep sanskaras are there. So we should not feel bad when they don't accept the message immediately, but we should slowly, by giving prasadam, or slowly giving the message, slowly by harinam, or few things here and there in a palatable, tasteful way that we have talked about before. We should जो deep impressions है, impressions like गड्ढे होते हैं ना रोड में, सड़क में गड्ढे, उनको कैसे भरते हैं, धीरे धीरे उसको भरना है, उसको smooth out करना है. So with your with our efforts we can give that rope. फिर कोई rope ले ना ले उस well में से निकलने के लिए, blind well में से, that's up to them. But you try to give the rope and in a tasteful way try to bring them towards the light. Otherwise we're just chewing the chewed. Most of the people are just chewing the chewed, Prahlad Maharaj says, right? So yes, Anita Mataji, you want to share something, please?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. So, like you mentioned, whenever we feel like that we are deviating from our path, sadhu sangha or like association of the devotees is what is needed, and that's what we get in the class here. At the same time, the one realization that I have is like, whenever I see, and especially now, whenever I see people who are like in mode of ignorance, but still winning the, having small time wins. I would say small time wins because once we realize that, in being in mode of ignorance, you cannot go so far. So what I feel that, and that's why I called it small wins. So what I feel that, that okay, तुम झूठ बोल के या फिर cheating करके या जो भी है, तुम इतना strong अगर बन सकते हो, तो like the one who are following the mode of goodness, why we can't hold our strength. तुम अपना ये ignorance का strength रखना चाहते हो, रखो, but I will also keep my mode of like goodness, and that is my strength. So like not giving up. Again, like again realizing that कि ये आपका small time wins हो सकता है, but it is not going to be your long time win. So that is one of the realization, Mataji, I just want to share. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll chant a couple of rounds together. Thank you so much for attending. Whoever is able to share, to stay, please stay for one round of chanting. Vancha kautarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah gurve gaurachandraya radhikaya tadalaye krishnaya krishna bhaktaya tad bhaktaya namo namah. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Guru and Gauranga.